Why do we feel it's necessary to yak about bullshit in order to be comfortable?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's Late Night with the Gringo, and today it's actually a very late night with the Gringo. I was out and about doing things, saw a new movie today. We'll talk about that. And I know there's a lot of pop culture news that kind of hit today, especially the Fantastic Four, if you've seen the thumbnail. That we're going to talk about that and probably look at some pieces of that. And that has absolutely sort of torn the internet in half, depending on where you go and where you look. It's people are either really psyched for it or they're trashing the hell out of it. And I don't know, you could go either way. I saw the trailer before getting on here today, and we're going to, like I said, I got some things I really, really like and some things I really, really don't like. And we'll talk about that. I'm sure everybody's going to be different. This movie's going to definitely be big for Marvel, I think, at this point in time. And, you know, the last I checked on their website, they had something like 350,000 upvotes. So it's not necessarily getting ratioed, but again, there's a lot of YouTube channels out there, reviewers, pop culture commentators that are just tearing it up and tearing it apart, and for various reasons. I think the biggest one we're going to talk about is Shia LaBeouf, who is the female Silver Surfer. And there's been more than one female Silver Surfer, by the way. Definitely fooled me with this one. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm missing something. I usually have a partner, but unfortunately he's a little tired. He's been doing his own thing, and he's up very late. So I've given him a personal day off. So I'm a good boss. So, and besides, it's Easter week down here in Mexico, which means that the place basically shuts down for basically a week and a half. It's quite amazing. Everybody goes on vacation and just leaves. And yeah, that's just the way it is. So, but still able to see a movie today. Movie theaters are still open. But like I said, we're definitely going to talk about the Fantastic Four and probably take a look at the trailer. So Shia LaBeouf, at first when they announced Julie Garner as Shia LaBeouf, they didn't announce her as Shia LaBeouf. This is months ago. They announced that they were going to have a female Silver Surfer. And of course that sent people up in arms, and I get that. I'm a Norrin Radd fan. I prefer to see Norrin Radd, but I kind of get the logic here. I kind of understand it. Still not happy about it, but I get the logic of it. I thought it was going to be Juno, not Shia LaBeouf. Now, Juno, if you know, there was a 5-story comic book arc that we talked about probably about a year ago on this channel, where Juno, who's the granddaughter, hopefully get this right, granddaughter of Hercules in that universe, she becomes the Herald of Galactus to save her planet and save her world. So I thought maybe, they're not doing Shia LaBeouf because Shia LaBeouf is a 616 character mainly. I know she's been in a ton of other alternative universes or multiverses, but her main story with Norrin Radd being Norrin Radd's lover, she becomes the Silver Surfer after Norrin Radd. So it's kind of weird that they're going to introduce Shia LaBeouf, the lover of Norrin Radd, before they're going to introduce Norrin Radd. Again, I don't know. I haven't seen a movie. No one has. So it's all speculation at this point. So it kind of makes me go, oh, okay, so we're going to introduce the second one before the first one. And maybe they're saving Norrin Radd for future projects. I don't know. Maybe this is just a one and done for Shia LaBeouf. I don't know. Or maybe this is just your Silver Surfer for the Marvel Universe. And you can let me know in the comment section below whether you feel okay with that or not okay with that and why. Again, I get it. There's always been, this whole thing with gender swapping characters. Now, this is not a gender swap. This character actually exists. So it's not like that. It's not like Taskmaster, where, in Black Widow, where they just gender swapped it. So this character actually exists. There's actually precedent for Shia LaBeouf. Like it, don't like it, but that's the one they decided to choose and go with. And again, there's still going to be a lot of criticism about that. And again, we'll see where that goes. We'll see exactly how they pan out that story. But again, for me, introducing the second Silver Surfer before the first one and kind of, I don't know, skipping over that whole arc, that whole storyline, it's a little weird, a little odd. And since it's late night at the Gringo likes candles, by the way. So we're going to light a little fire here. Fire. because it is late and it's dark. So we'll go with that. All right. Cool. So, all right, let's see if we can get this trailer up and running and hopefully not get shut down for showing a Marvel trailer that's not ours. All right, let's see here. Boom. Here we go. And I'm going to mute my mic, and hopefully this is not too loud for everybody out there. But let's see here.
Wow, folks, we all know the story. 4 brave astronauts head up into space and come back forever changed.
This car?
All right, so right off the bat, I'm going to stop this every couple times. Right off the bat, I think we talked about this a couple nights ago. I think the world building they're doing here, the 60s, New York City, all that, the aesthetics, it looks great. I think whoever was doing this set design and all that, and I'm sure it was by committee. I'm sure it wasn't just one person, but it looks great. I feel it feels great, and I love that the kids are cheering Ben Grimm and he's having fun with it. The mopey thing from the first Fantastic Four movie was sort of like, didn't like people looking at him, wanted to hide, right? That never felt okay or right all the time. So I kind of like that they're having fun with this. So cool.
Our city, our planet, owe a debt to these intrepid souls. And while we can never repay them, we can certainly celebrate them.
Thank you, Fantastic Four. Thank you.
Thank you, Fantastic Four!
Please welcome the Fantastic Four.
Herbie, how's that sauce looking? Okay. That is fantastic.
You're late.
What do you mean?
Okay, so family, which is what it's supposed to be, right? Kind of feels that way. Feels like a family. Feels like, all right, everybody's in and kind of homey, kind of relaxed, kind of okay. And that's really what you're looking for in the Fantastic Four. These people have known each other forever and gone through a lot together. So, all right, that feels cool. And the little robot, and I think the Thing looks great. I think he looks great. What's funny, I've seen comments about. Well, let me pause it. I've seen comments about this guy Quinn here, the actor. His last name is Quinn. Did they de-age Robert Downey Jr.? I don't think that's the case, but he's eating Lucky Charms. All right, my favorite cereal, Lucky Charms. Here we go. All right, cool.
You're late for dinner.
Yes, we are.
You late?
I just said that.
Are you pregnant?
What? You're gonna be the best mom in the world. And you are gonna be the best dad. Just kidding. You are out of your depth. We are gonna be the best uncles ever.
We can do this.
So, yeah, he's going to be waiting. I mean, that's Franklin Richards, the baby. And if you know about him, and I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, he is way over his head, definitely with that baby. So, and it'll be interesting to see if they bring in, if you know the comic books, Franklin Richards' first nanny was Agatha Harkness. And I actually did a video on that actual comic book. So if you want to check that on our channel, but I'm curious to see if maybe Agatha or a version of Agatha Harkness shows up at some point in time. Maybe not in this film, right? I think they're going to kind of keep the focus on the Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, and the big baddie Galactus. But it'll be interesting to see if they do pull out a version of that. Now, when she was the nanny in the comic books, she's a decrepit old lady, looking like a witch you would think an old witch from Salem would look like. Not the Agatha Harkness from the TV series on D+, but definitely interesting to see if they would bring out that character, she's a very cool character in the comics. Maybe not main character, but she's just definitely a cool character.
Nothing is going to change.
Are you the protectors of this world?
All right, first look at Silver Surfer. Not really a great look, but first look. Yeah, that's definitely Shia LaBeouf. I mean, it doesn't look like the Juno version. It looks like the Shia LaBeouf Juno version has much longer, flowy hair. So definitely, that's what that looks like. And I'm not crazy about the CGI right now, but then again, it's only a little clip. We'll see if we get a better one.
Yes, we are.
Your planet is now.
Here we go. That's not that. It's okay. I don't know. It's missing something. I don't know. It seems like it doesn't pop. It doesn't pop like you think. Maybe it's because it's night, lights, looks like Times Square, kind of glare, glow, whatnot. Looks very sculpted, I gotta say, especially up here in the hair and whatnot. Doesn't look very, I don't know, it looks very CGI. But again, this is just, they got time, maybe they need to polish that up. And there she goes. And there goes Johnny Storm. Of course, we've seen this scene before from the original Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Space. And they heard.
Now I gotta say, just before I, again go on, Johnny Storm, as we're watching this, it doesn't feel like Johnny Storm. I think I'm great with Vanessa Kirby being Invisible Woman, being Sue Storm. I've not been great with Pedro Pascal being Reed Richards. It's got nothing to do with him being a Latino. I'm married to one, so go screw if you think that's my problem. My problem is we've seen him in everything, and he just doesn't seem to have that, if you're the smartest man in the universe, smartest man in the world, smartest man, whatever, which is what he is. He's one of the most intelligent men in the Marvel universe, comic book universe. He doesn't seem to have that kind of bravado. Maybe they're trying to give him sort of something anti-Tony Stark. They don't want him to be this kind of same kind of egomaniac. But I just don't get that. But then going back to Johnny Storm, Johnny Storm's a womanizer, right? So Johnny Storm's a very big bravado, big ego, but I don't get that vibe from him in this. And I know that in other interviews they've said, "Oh, we're going to update him for modern audiences." And I know that's always like buzzkill, and I know that's always sort of like the kiss of death when everybody says that. When anybody says modern audiences, you lose half your audience. And so, not really sure where we're going to go with that. But again, Reed Richards doesn't give me that vibe yet. And again, I think, Vanessa Kirby, great casting, and The Thing, great casting.
Are we safe?
I don't know.
There's not enough time.
I'm not giving up. We will.
All right, so Shadow of Galactus. All right. Love the car. Love that they got the car. The suits are great too. Retro. Again, the aesthetics of this film are spot on. They're perfect. The music is awesome. The dialogue, some of the lines are great. I mean, when Pedro does deliver a couple of these lines, they are delivered very, very well. So we'll see if he does, we'll see.
We'll face this together.
Oh, there she is again. Again, I'm not crazy about the CGI for this particular version of her.
We will fight it together. As a family. Has to be us.
Oh, okay. I gotta be honest, I was worried. One of the CGI things I was worried about was him stretching. That looks decent. That looks good, actually. It doesn't look silly. You know what I mean? It would really be easy to make it look silly. And again, his Galactus is showing the building, so he's actually up against Galactus. Looks like, but it looks actually really good. And again, it's one of those powers where, yeah, maybe back in the day it was cool, but now you might think of it as something kind of corny. Maybe not the greatest thing. But I think that's what he does. That's his power. That's Mr. Fantastic, right? So I got no problem with this. I think if it continues to kind of be like this, and maybe see what kind of sound effects they add to it, maybe kind of like anything behind it, but just kind of see how they do it. But this one shot looks decent. Oh, see, yeah, I like that. Like, he's stretched out, retract, all that. That's good. I like that.
We will protect you.
And Galactus taking a walk through New York City, so you get to see his boots. Okay, so we get to see that. So interesting. It's actually probably one of the better trailers that I've seen in a long, long time. Whoever edited that trailer together earned their money on that. I don't think it's. I think what you're going to have. Excuse me, I'm still getting over my cold. I think what you're going to have with this is you got people who are really anticipating this film. Now I'm anticipating this film, and you got a bunch of people who just, I think, are tired of Marvel and just like, hey, I'm going to wait till stream. And so I think that's the work Marvel's got cut out for. Now, the thing about before this film hits, now you got Superman before that, and we'll see how that does. Let's see if that takes any of the superhero fatigue or either increases it or decreases it, how good that film does. But the Thunderbolts come out in, see, today here is the 17th. I get to see it on the 30th. I think in the States it releases on the 2nd of May. So it'll be cool to have an early review. All right, we'll do that. But if that movie doesn't do well, and it's a Marvel movie, and they're really, honestly, today when I was at the theaters, they're really advertising the crap out of that movie. They're plastering the whole wall. It's just a big mural of the Thunderbolts. So they're really going all out advertising that film to get that thing some momentum. Because I don't really hear anybody talking about it. No one's really talking about it. Even when you look at regular content creators on YouTube or other platforms, it seems like they're staying away from that movie because it doesn't seem anybody's interested either way, good or bad. So, but back to the Fantastic Four. That trailer made me want to see the movie. It didn't tell you too much. It didn't give away everything. It left you with a lot of questions, but it made me want to see the film. And again, all right, let's go through all the positives. It looks great. It sounds great. The CGI, with the exception of the Silver Surfer, I thought looked good. I liked how the powers, the thing, we'll just take the Fantastic Four themselves. They themselves look good. I think the thing, it looks very accurate, very Kirby-like. You've got Johnny Storm. I mean, it's kind of hard. Just light the guy on fire. Seems pretty easy, right? Sue Storm's light powers or magnetic powers, however you want to force field or however you want to call them. Everybody has a different word for it. And then Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, his stretching looked good. All right. I'm in. I'm down. I'll throw down some money for a ticket and go see this film. Again, there's a lot of controversy on the internet about this film, which is, all right, let's say it again, the gender swapped, which is not a gender swapped Silver Surfer. She, like I said, she actually exists as a comic book character. So Shia LaBeouf actually exists. And she did spend the time of a cup of coffee in the role. I get it. But that's what they're going with. Okay, cool. So we got that. The other thing is there's a worry that this is going to be a Sue Storm movie. And you kind of get that vibe a little bit. She seemed like in charge, not Reed. You know, there's the whole girl boss. It's a Disney thing. They like to do the girl bossing. This might be another girl bossing film, and that might turn people off the more and more that we hear about it or see about it and things that get leaked out about it. So that seems a little bit as a negative for things that people are looking at that want to look for something negative about this film. And Disney does that. I mean, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, you have to admit that that's what they do. They like their girl bosses. Okay? And it looks like Sue Storm is going to be the boss. It's going to be a Sue Storm movie. It's going to be Sue Storm centered instead of Fantastic Four centered. Again, that might be something you go, all right, that's very cool. You might say that turned me off. I don't want to see it. Again, that's the controversy of the film. I think it comes off that way because I think Sue Storm, Vanessa Kirby, does play a very strong, I mean, she's used to playing strong female characters. Her role as Josephine and Napoleon and things like that. And a couple of films she did with The Rock and Jason Statham and things like that I've seen her in. So she's used to playing those type of roles, so she does it well. Reed Richards, the Pedro Pascal Reed Richards, seems a little bit more reserved, a little bit more tentative, a little bit less confident in his words. Yes, he had a couple of lines there where he kind of blames himself. He does say, "We will protect you." He doesn't exactly sound confident in delivering that line, but I think that's on purpose. So I think the idea that Reed Richards comes across as less confident or less of a leader only elevates the role that Vanessa Kirby has or Sue Storm has in this trailer, where she sounds like she knows what she's doing. She's telling you, when Silver Surfer shows up, it's Sue Storm that's talking to her, not Reed Richards, right? So it's sort of like, okay, there's these roles. And of course, they did say that they are going to explore gender roles in this film. Again, nothing I'm crazy about, nothing I'm looking for in my cinema. I hope it doesn't really take up a majority of the film. If it does, then it's going to really kind of suck, because I just want to see a cool comic book. And I love the Fantastic Four, and I love Marvel's run on Fantastic Four since the beginning. So I just want a good comic book film. I want it to be successful. So hopefully it does shy away. If it does have a little bit of that sprinkled in, okay, spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, I guess. But if it's all about that, and if it's constantly like that, and Johnny Storm is sort of, I don't know, watered down version of Johnny Storm, you kind of want to see Johnny Storm. I could care less what the modern audiences want. I want Johnny Storm. That's the way I look at it. So, but let me know in the comment section below what you think of that Fantastic Four trailer. If you're excited about seeing it, if you're not excited about seeing it, why and why not? I, of course, whether I'm excited, like I wasn't excited about seeing Snow White, but I went and saw it. Why? Because I wanted to review it for the channel and for you. I am excited about seeing the Fantastic Four because it's not like the Thunderbolts, right? It's the Thunderbolts is like, who the hell are these people, right? It's a bunch of, let's look at that, right? So you got the Fantastic Four, the first family of Marvel, one of the most important comic book in the history of comic books, right? It's just, there's no doubt, it's one of the most important in the history of comic books. If some would argue it's the most important as far as Marvel goes. And then you got a movie like The Thunderbolts where you've got Ghost, a villain no one cared about, and a movie no one cared about, Ant-Man 2. You've got Taskmaster. That's truly gender swap Taskmaster, which nobody liked. You've got Yelena Belova, which I no one really seems excited about that. You got Bucky. People like Bucky. I like Bucky. Let's see what happens with Bucky. You got the Red Guardian. Right? Not really excited about that. And U.S. Patriot, right? Again, there doesn't seem to be a lot to be excited in that film, right? But then you got Fantastic Four. This is a tentpole. This has to succeed. You would have to think that this one has to do. Well, if Captain America 4, which was awful, and I'll tell you that right off the bat, I went and saw it. I still got my collector's mug sitting up there because I like the collector's mugs. But it was not a good film. It felt like 3 films chopped up. But that still did 400 and actually, let me see what we got here. Let's bring up box office. That's sitting at 414 million worldwide, okay? So if Captain America Brave New World did 414, then I have to assume that, I'll let you guys see that too. Because why not share? I like sharing. Sharing is caring. All right. If Captain America did 414, I have to imagine the Fantastic Four is going to do north of 500 million, 500 million. Does it need to do $1 billion to be called a success? No, I don't think so. Does it need to do? I would say Disney would be popping champagne if they got to the 800 million, 750, 800 million worldwide. That is, and I think with the way Marvel films and Disney films have been, excuse me, like I said, I'm still getting over this cold, which seems not want to leave me. I've had it for 4 weeks now. Probably get that checked. So I think they would pop champagne with that. They need a win, right? They need a win. Captain America was not a win. That lost money. Snow White, of course, we've talked to that one to death. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. That lost money. They got Lilo and Stitch coming up. Hopefully that for them will do well. But other than that, nothing much is there. So they need that win, especially when it comes to Marvel and setting up the whole Secret Wars and Doomsday. And so if the Thunderbolts, it seems like the Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four are going to play a huge role in that. And if these 2 movies don't do well together or individually or whatever, it could really spell doom. It's like, okay, well, what are we doing with Doomsday or Secret Wars if no one cared? Right? When I saw the reveal of all the characters, there were a lot of characters there with that 5-hour reveal with all the chairs. Right? If you looked at all those names, it's like, okay, Shang-Chi. No one really cared about that movie. No one really talks about it. Right? So it was all these characters that were like, they want you to like, but no one really, the masses really didn't embrace the way they did with Thor or Captain America or Iron Man or Black Widow or the Hulk, right? So if the Fantastic Four and the Thunderbolts end up in that same category of characters, or at least movies that people just didn't embrace and didn't really get excited about, now you got an ensemble movie that's supposed to be your next Endgame, Infinity War type deal. that's based off of characters that no one's really that excited about, right? It doesn't bode well. But that's Fantastic Four. Again, let me know what you think. I like the trailer. I think it looks good. Couple red flags there that make me go, because I'm just used to Disney and Marvel and everything Disney doing those kind of weird things that just kind of annoy me. I just like to be entertained when I go to the box office and put down money for a ticket. Excuse me. I have enough politics in my head with the rest of the other shows that we do here at Late Night with the Gringo, which we normally talk about politics and pop culture, but I'm keeping it light because, hey, it's a holiday weekend. So, but yeah, speaking of movies, Minecraft. This is what, the second week that it was in? This is actually going on a third week. Is it third week? I think it's third week. So we're looking at this thing going gangbusters because down here in Mexico, the theaters I was at, man, the things were sold out. Like, they were selling out. People were still getting excited. People were still showing up in costumes and all sorts of stuff. Excited to see Minecraft, the movie. Good for it. Like I said, it's one of the movies. It's the first movie I really thought entertained me. Was it a perfect movie? By any means, no. Did it have issues? Sure, but it entertained me. It made me laugh. I really actually enjoyed seeing it. So I'm glad it's doing well. Snow White's basically out of there. The movie we did see today, and again, it's been out for a week in the United States. It came out today in Mexico, was The Amateur, which is now the best movie we've seen all year. I really enjoyed this movie. If you haven't seen this movie, I would suggest that you would, if you like CIA, spy stuff, things like that. I thought they did a really great job with this movie. It's only a $60 million budget, and they really pinched every penny and got everything out of it. Great cast. I mean, when you look at the cast, you've got let's go to the title summary. Cast and crew. You've got Rami Malek, who, of course, playing the lead role. Oscar winner there. Rachel Brosnahan playing his wife. Does a great job. John Bernthal, of course, well known as Punisher. He has like 2 scenes in the movie, but they're awesome scenes. The way he talks. Lawrence Fishburne playing one of the other CIA operatives, one of his handlers. Again, great. Love how he love his acting. He usually kills everything he's in, and in this one, it was great action, great suspense, great writing, great directing, great pacing. I'm not sure how long this movie was. I'm not even sure how. 2 hours and 2 minutes. It did not feel 2 hours and 2 minutes because it was just, from minute one, you felt like, oh, this is a cool story. Oh, I like this character. Now, Rami Malek, and I guess we'll go into some spoilers here, so just, spoiler alert. He plays a CIA computer analyst, a decryptor, or cryptographer. So he's a nerd. He's got no muscle. He's not an action guy, but events take place where he has to actually get his hands dirty. And I love the realism where he gets his ass whipped physically a lot because he's not a fighter. That's not what he's trained to do. He's not built that way. I love that realism to it, but he is a thinker. He's got a 170 IQ, and the things that he does to get further down the road in his mission, his personal mission, are ingenious. And I love how he puts everything together. I love how he uses the technology to do that. It's not way over the top. And I think there's some great scenes. We've already seen like the pool cascading, hit that sort of assassination scene. But from beginning to end, great acting, great writing, and it held my attention. And it really is the best movie I've seen this year. And I think it was also with the exception of Minecraft, it's the only other time when we were in a theater and there were other people in the theater. Usually when we've seen other movies, whether it's Captain America or anything else that we've seen and reviewed this year, it's only been us. And that just kind of tells you that people were excited to see this film and wanted to see something new, something different. It's based off of a book by Robert Littell, so I might go check out that book. And it's got the makings of a franchise, sort of like a Bourne Identity, but sort of an anti-Bourne Identity because, he's not, again, he doesn't have those, those fighting skills, nor does he want them, nor is he capable of them because he's just, again, a scrawny nerd and he uses what he needs to use. He uses his own skills to get to where he needs to get to. So it's only done about 20 million domestic in 1 week, or less than 1 week. I really think it should do more. I think more people should give this film a shot. I'm not sure where it sits on ratings. I haven't had a chance to check that, but I can't imagine that there's too many people that hate this story. It was just straight up action, straight up. It was just straight up. It was great, and I can't recommend it. I can't recommend it anymore. I'll have an official review on it tomorrow, along with another movie we're going to talk about right now, which is the exact opposite of The Amateur. It might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Laughably bad, and that was G20. And I don't think, of course, it's not box office, but let's G20 Prime Video. Yeah, this movie. Yep. Viola Davis as a over 60-year-old president who is tougher than any 20-something, 30-something seasoned special forces veteran can take him hand to hand and all that. And this was a ridiculous movie. And I'll have the review out for that. So if you're looking to watch this was silly. It was silly. It's so far, I always like to suspend some disbelief or some belief when watching a movie. I get that. It's escapism. But there's, when you have Viola Davis jumping down on top of 5 armed mercenaries who are trained killers, by special forces, whether it's Australia or whatnot. By the way, why is Australia the bad people? Why do we make Australia? China's the good people, Australia the bad people. I wonder what we're doing there. But when you have Viola Davis jumping down on top of these people with a bad knee, and she's taking out 3 or 4 special forces people by hand, I'm like, okay, no. That's like me saying I could do that. I couldn't do that, right? Even if you put it in a film and these guys that are, weigh twice as much as she does, and it gets silly. It just gets silly. And of course, everything is, everybody knows how to do everything. Even our kids are experts at pulling apart electronics. 16-year-old, 18, pulling apart, electronics and creating routers and complicated satellite communication systems and things like that. I'm like, okay, not a lot of research went into this. Of the first 20 minutes, we'll also talk to you about and tell you about often how she is, even though she's president, she's a victim. She is a victim because of her skin color, because of her her gender identity of being a woman. Even though she's president of the United States, she's a victim. And the world is against her because of those things. And she has 2 bratty kids that are victims as well, even though they live in a White House and probably live the most privileged life they could live. They are victims as well. So there's a lot of victim, trauma, bragging in the first 20, 30 minutes. And you're just like, you're on Air Force One. I'm not sure exactly where your victimhood comes from. So pardon me, but that's just the way I feel. I'll have that review out tomorrow. But I figured I'd warn anybody who's like thinking, hey, should I click cut this movie? I don't know. If you're drunk and you just want to laugh, maybe. I don't know. But it is silly. And it's not well thought out. Even things that should be logical don't happen. They just don't happen. All right. So those are the movies that we've seen. Now, speaking of movies, this got my attention. The Breakfast Club. Now, if you're me, The Breakfast Club is a beloved movie. If you're not me and you're someone who's way younger than me, The Breakfast Club is probably an outdated piece of 80s nostalgia that you're like, okay, not your cup of tea. So Molly Ringwald, who is the famous redhead here from the Brat Pack, says The Breakfast Club should not get a remake. It's very white. Yeah, it takes place in Sherman Oaks and wherever. It takes place in the middle of the Midwest. It is. If you go there, where this school is, it's really a white place. It's very white. There's not a black person. I've been there. There's not a black person for about, a 300-mile radius. It's just the way it is. It's where it is, right? And they don't talk about gender. Okay? It doesn't represent our world today. Well, that's the thing. I agree with Molly Ringwald. This movie should not be remade. You know why? This movie's famous and popular because it captured a moment in time in the 80s that can't be recaptured. You can't recreate that kind of, I don't know, zeitgeist lightning in a bottle moment. It's not something you can just put all the ingredients in, stir the pot and go, there it is. No, they set out to make this movie. They probably didn't think it was going to be as big as it was or as culturally significant as it was to people of the 80s, kids of the 80s, teenagers of the 80s. But it did. It became that. These things cannot be recreated. You can't just say, oh, this was something that was iconic in the 80s. Let's take it, fiddle with it, and now it'll be iconic for the 2020s. It just doesn't work that way. So in a way, I agree with Molly Ringwald. I think she should also kind of do her geography. She made the film there. That's a John Hughes film, right? And so, yeah, it is a really white film. Yep. That's like me saying Menace to Society is a really black film. Because it is. It takes place in a place where the majority of people that live there, the setting, are African American. I'm okay with that. If it's just, that's the way it should be. I don't think white people should be complaining about there's not enough white representation in Menace to Society. No, that's not the way it should be. That's the environment. That's the setting. That's the real world. Let it be. Let's tell the truth. This film was set in the whitest of white places in all of white America. Yes, Molly Ringwald. It's a white film. So, for what it's worth. So, don't remake this film. It won't do well. It'll tank. It won't get the buzz. Even if you use the same music, I don't know how you could use the same music. Even if you try to set it in the 80s, it's just not going to work. You can't capture that. Judd Nelson, Emilio Estevez, and the rest of the cast, they did such a great job with their roles. And the lines are still iconic, and some of the scenes are still iconic. You can't recreate it. Can't recreate it. So yes, Molly, yes, I agree with you for different reasons. And yes, you're right. This is a very white film. It happens. What are you going to do? It happens. What do we got in the news today? Oh, yeah, you want to talk about this? Okay, two quick things. Well, not quick, but this one will be quick. Sean Levy, you know him all from Daredevil, so we all got faith in him. Ryan Gosling, seems like a cool dude. Seems like a great guy. Seems like a nice actor. Seems like you do the job. Star Wars Starfighter is going to be set for a May 2027 theatrical release. So, been a little dry on the Star Wars movie news, but there it is. Now, this movie will be set 5 years after the Rise of Skywalker. So, it's be the last in the timeline of the Star Wars timeline. Ryan Gosling, they seem pretty excited about it. He appeared on screen at, I think, Tokyo Star Wars Celebration wearing a hat that said, never tell me the odds or something like that. And so just a nod to Han Solo. Yeah, never tell me the odds. So I think that's great. They call themselves fans. Say we're fans. Levy said we're fans too. There's obviously a relationship between these stories and the audience, but we spent our lives in that audience. We know how meaningful it is. That's awesome. I love to hear a director talk about how the audience is an important part of making a film these days. You don't really hear that. Usually they were told the audience is the problem. The people who are complaining are the problem. The people that might have a passionate voice about Star Wars are the problem. So maybe this is, maybe he's kind of taken some of his lessons some of the things he did with Deadpool, which was, he did some fan service there. And he said, yeah, we want to do this. So maybe he's bringing that to the Star Wars world. We'll see how that turns out because making Deadpool is a lot different than getting into Lucasfilm and making a Star Wars film. I'm sure there's a lot more guidelines, guardrails, barriers, filters, all that. But we'll see what happens. I'm not expecting an R-rated Star Wars film. Don't get me wrong. Although that sounds actually that sounds cool actually. But that's the only details you got on this. And Star Wars Starfighter. That's what they're going to call it. Can't wait. So, all right, we'll get that to look forward to. Again, not a lot of Star Wars news to get excited about lately. I know the Grogu film is still coming. The Mandalorian film is still coming. I know that they're still ironing out whether they're going to do a Rey Palpatine movie or Rey Skywalker movie, whatever you want to call her. Whether they're still going to do that or not, and I don't think they should. I don't think that's a project that's DOA. That is not being received well in a lot of circles, especially the audience, which is the most important circle because they pay to go see the movie. So if that doesn't, but I think this duo knows what they're doing, and I think they can make it work. All right, so we got to talk about this. So I hated, after the first 10 minutes of the first episode of Daredevil Born Again, I was furious with this series for like 4 or 5 episodes. Basically until they kind of the Muse character came in and Daredevil had to become actually Daredevil again. I was tired of seeing Wilson Fisk and Vanessa doing couples therapy. That's not why I watch Daredevil. All right? If I want to see couples therapy or something like that, I'm sure I could watch something different. That's not why I'm watching Daredevil. I was tired of seeing Matt Murdock mope around and be a lawyer. I get it. He's a lawyer. That's half his life, but that's not why we watch Daredevil. I was tired of courtroom dramas that didn't seem to make any sense. But that's not why I watch Daredevil. But finally, he put back on the Daredevil costume and became Daredevil, and all hell broke loose. And it seemed like it was like the tale of 2 seasons. At the one half, the first half of the season was just sort of like, what are we doing? And I kept, it's not like it wasn't well acted. It wasn't well acted. It was well written for the most part. It teased a few things here and there. They tried to set up the world, with Wilson Fisk. So I get there was a lot. There was a lot of. I don't want to say it was total crap. I just didn't like it because I wanted to see Daredevil. All right, that's just me. My wife, she loved it. She thought it was great. So, but then the second half of the season came about, and it was like, oh, okay, cool, this is awesome. And then it ended, and I'm not sure how I feel about the ending. Being soundtracked by Kid A, by Radiohead. Great song, by the way. Great album. Excuse me. Still getting over the cold. Punisher being left is sort of like, okay, there's a menace going on. They got an army. And then he, and if you haven't seen it, sorry, you should have seen it by now. Walking into Josie's old bar, revealing himself with, of course, Deborah Ann Wall comes back as his love interest again from the first season, even though she only appeared in the first episode of this season and she disappeared. So, so he reveals you got these normal looking people because he said, we need an army. We need an army to go after this army. And I was expecting, this is what I was expecting. I guess maybe this is why I was let down at the end. I was expecting to see Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, these characters pop up and be like, we're here. It's the Defenders. I mean, what better group? I mean, they're there, they exist. That's the world. What better group to go up against the Wilson Fisk's military police and all that? So hopefully maybe that's where they're going to go next season. They're going to get these people introduced. Hopefully they don't drag it on too much with like each episode's an introduction to a character. No, just boom. Y'all know each other already from the Defenders. Boom. Y'all should be there together right away. But you didn't see that. You just kind of saw it kind of close and be like, we're going to defend our city. We're going to take it back. And I was like, okay. So it kind of built up to, the whole season was a build up to like nothing. Like there was no catharsis. There's no climax. It was a cliffhanger with, okay, Kingpin is still mayor and he's still Kingpin, but he was always Kingpin and he was always mayor throughout the whole season. Okay. He's got corrupt cops. Great. He's got corrupt cops. He's a criminal. We'd expect him to have corrupt cops, right? Nothing was surprising or like, oh, this is shocking. Granted, when Punisher showed up, that was awesome because that guy is awesome. Some of the best. I mean, that might be the most perfect casting in the world. I can't think of really more perfect casting. Let me know what you thought of Daredevil. Again, I thought the second half of the season, the action picked up. I thought, wow, this is cool. Really enjoyed it. I was into it. And then it's sort of like, okay, I'm waiting for like the big thing. Instead, he kind of slinks back. He's like, I'm going to be smarter. I'm going to go get an army. Okay, great. Go get an army. Well, that's the end of the season. You have to wait till the next season for the army. I'm like, oh, great. Now, the ratings for this have not been great. Not a lot of people are watching this series. Even though, yes, the second season is already greenlit and probably already being worked on at this point. But this thing has not gotten a lot of views on Disney+. Now, granted, it is a more adult, content-based series. I get that. But it just might be a case of, let's look at the history of D+ Marvel shows. Hawkeye. Echo. I've heard there's so many inappropriate jokes I can make about Echo, you know. And I'm not going to do it here. I'll wait till my son's back on so he can tell me how bad of a person I am. Agatha. Mark, that was terrible, right? It was terrible. I'm sorry. If you liked it, good for you. It was terrible. Loki season 1 was Loki season 2 was better, a little bit better. Yeah, Loki season 1 was actually, I didn't really like. Loki season 2 was much better. WandaVision, there was parts of WandaVision that were great. Parts of WandaVision, it was like, oh, Jesus, stop it, right? Please, you know. And I'm sure there's a few others that are out there that I'm just, Secret Invasion was terrible. Terrible. There really hasn't been a Marvel series. X-Men 97 was awesome. That was animated, but that was awesome. It might be the best thing that they've put out as far as a Marvel series is concerned. So definitely hit and miss with Daredevil. Again, as you go through the episodes, overall as a season, it was a letdown at the end because I felt like there should have been something more. I'm like, okay, it's basically just the whole season is just a giant build up to nothing. You know, Wilson Fisk is in charge of New York City. We knew that. He got elected mayor. Of course, he's in charge of New York City. Wilson Fisk is a bad guy. We knew that. He's the kingpin. He's in another series. We've seen him. So, is what it is. I'll look forward to season 2. Hopefully, it actually answers some questions or builds upon the story and actually kind of, I don't know, goes somewhere. I would like it to go somewhere, and that's just how I feel about that. But overall, again, Daredevil is one of those characters you enjoy watching. I think Charlie Cox does a great job with the character. I think he wants to do more with the character. I think there's some restraints on Daredevil, even though, yes, it was very adult. It's got some blood and gore, but not as much as the Netflix series. Although, I will tell you this. I was surprised and a little shocked when Kingpin squashed that guy's head, the police commissioner's, and it did what it did, the visual effects. I was like, there's something out of Friday the 13th, to be honest with you. It's something like Jason Voorhees would have done. And I was like, all right, Disney. All right, I'll give you that one. You definitely pushed the envelope with that one, but yeah. So mixed bag. I'm not as down on it as a lot of people are, but I definitely think that there was a lot more that they could have done, or a lot more. Maybe it's just the pacing. Maybe it just was too much of a slow burn. And but slow burns can be okay. Andor season 1 was a slow burn. It's the best Star Wars series that's out there on D+, right? Season 2 coming up. Hopefully, I think that'll be really good. So, but yeah, you gotta let me know what you think in the comment section below. What you thought of that. So, ooh, yeah. But it's been a night. It's been a day. It's been a late night. It is a late night with the Gringo. So we will be back tomorrow. Actually, wait, it's Friday. It's Good Friday. It's a Good Friday. We do not stream on Fridays, but Saturdays we do. Holy Saturday, or I think that's what they call it, Holy Saturday. And of course, Easter. Well, actually, Saturday and Sunday, we got WrestleMania too as well. So we got a lot going on this weekend. WrestleMania. I love WrestleMania. If you don't know me, I mean, no offense. If you haven't noticed the luchador mask behind me and thought, well, this guy must like wrestling. If that hasn't really crossed your mind, then you're not paying attention to the background. So yes, can't wait. WrestleMania. Watch it every year. Going to be sitting there, and then we'll be streaming as well while we're doing that as well. So I hope to see you this weekend. I hope everybody, if it's your holiday, if it's what you celebrate, I hope you have a wonderful Easter. It's what I celebrate, and I wish you a God bless and a happy Easter. And hopefully you enjoy your time with your family and friends. If it's not your holiday, and for some reason you get the day off, awesome. I hope you get to do exactly what you want to do on that day off and go have some fun and enjoy. And so for whatever it's worth, whatever it is, from south of the border, I'm going to get on out of here. From south of the border, I'm still your reluctant gringo. As I always like to say, salute and au revoir, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
So long, gay boys!